to hear from all of the good things. And I'm here with Sarah Rhodes from Plastic Free Sea. Hi, Sarah. How are you going?
Hey, Nim. I'm good. How are you?
Sarah, I really just wanted to find out a little bit more about, I know that you spent some good time in Cambodia, and that's kind of really a big part of your life in terms of what's inspired you to do what you're doing now. Can you tell me a little bit about how you came to be doing Plastic Free Sea?
Sure. Yeah, well, it really did. Well, it did start a little bit before Cambodia. A couple of things kind of came together. I came across the Plastic Free July
Right.
challenge.
Yeah.
And participated in that, and it just like blew my mind about how much plastic there is in our everyday lives And the other thing was I did climate leadership training with Al Gore's program, and those sort of two things came together once I got over to Cambodia, where I decided that I would talk at an Environment Day event. And
Right.
at that event, I decided to announce that I'd be holding an event for the start of Plastic Free July. And it all kind of snowballed from there. So it was kind of, a really happy accident.
Sarah, one of the things that I'm really interested in as well. So you spent, I think it was 5 years in Cambodia, is that right? So how did living in Cambodia sort of inform how your business developed and what you're doing now?
The landscape in Cambodia was, it's a little bit different now after the last 2 years, but it's a very strong tourist hub. I lived in Siem Reap, which is near the Angkor temples, which are amazing and popular, and please, like, anyone go visit. And my background is in tourism, so that really worked. It all sort of gelled together with that respect. There are also a lot of NGOs in Cambodia, so a lot of education and a lot of charitable work going on, which is great.
That leads me to think then, how did you feel when you worked with a business and you saw some of the positive outcomes that were coming from the work that you were doing? That must have been a really great feeling.
Super rewarding to make a bigger impact within, my capability to work with the business sector and especially the tourism sector. I could just see that there was this amazing multi-layered impact that came from that, which is, working with the staff and making a property more sustainable is one thing. Them being able to influence their guests through what they're demonstrating and then the leadership they're showing is another thing. Because, when you're traveling somewhere and you haven't been there before and you're staying for just a few days, you don't necessarily know the way to sort of navigate and reduce your consumption of single-use plastics in that environment.
Yes, and I know when I'm traveling, sometimes you don't want to drink the water, or you're not sure if you should, or these additional concerns that when you're away from home that come into play as well, don't they? Yes.
Yeah, so having the hotel that you stay in be able to say, okay, we've got safe filtered drinking water for you and a refillable bottle in case you haven't brought your own, and just to really provide that safety net and nice healthy, environmentally friendly environment is pretty special.
Yeah, and that on its own is a huge thing, because I just know, having traveled myself a lot in countries where the normal tap water isn't drinkable, the amount of water bottles that you go through, having to buy water by the bottle. Yes.
And then the other two layers were that then they start talking to their suppliers and asking them to deliver their produce without any plastic bags, for example. Fantastic. So there's that impact, there's a staff impact. And then the surprise impact for me was actually staff going to their communities and their villages and saying, hey, we learn all this stuff at work and it's amazing and super useful. Hey, let's, share that around in our local area as well.
Great? Yeah. So I think it's an amazing thing about people, is if they can feel and experience something positive directly themselves, it has all those flow-on effects, doesn't it? But I think from my perspective, I kind of imagine that everybody already knows this stuff. But from what I'm hearing from you, that's not necessarily the case.
I think that's like a common thing we have. Even last year's Plastic Free July, which is something that I've been promoting on my channels for 7 Plastic Free Julys running. Someone said, oh, could you just break it down a little bit for me, because I haven't come across this before. And I was, jumping ahead just to sort of assuming that everybody understood what Plastic Free July was now. But yeah, so it is really useful sometimes to really step it back and
It is funny. I was at a barbecue just yesterday, and they had disposable plates and cups. Most of them were sort of recycled paper or something, but then actually someone said, "Oh, I find it really hard these days to find the plastic knives and forks. I had to really search for them," and I just thought, this is the opposite of what I'm expecting. But it's interesting. There's still people that haven't quite got that and aren't quite on the why.
I've learned a lot in the last couple of years about, I guess, human psychology and just how our brains work, because I guess of my own desires to build a sustainable business in every sense of that word, and my own behaviors as well to go along with that. It really is about, like, our brains are amazing, absolutely remarkable, but they filter out a lot of information because we just can't cope with everything that's coming at us on a day-to-day basis. It's like tens of thousands of pieces of information. So the brain's like, okay, what does Sarah think's important? Sarah thinks plastic is important, so we're going to show her every single little granule of plastic and drive her crazy. Thanks, brain. But for other people, that's not being registered as something important in their mind. They don't see it the same way that I do. So it's really fascinating.
Yeah. So what are your plans now for Plastic Free Sea now that you're here in Australia? Is it to reach out to as many businesses as possible with the plastic free message?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that businesses are ready for it now. So definitely, trying to meet as many businesses as I can here in Sydney, definitely. And to help them, just make it work and make it stick. And also think about how they're going to onboard staff in the future and make that really part of their values and how they go forward.
You've got an event coming up, I think it's the 23rd of February. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I've buddied up with Matt Heath from Make Your Change. He does some similar work to me with team trainings in corporations. Be very community focused. I think he's going to speak to what community residents and participants can do in their personal lives, and I'm going to speak a little bit about what businesses can do within their community to make positive change.
Well, Sarah, I'm personally really looking forward to the event on the 23rd of Feb, and I'm also very much looking forward to providing a giveaway for people that can come along. So
I know, so exciting.
Scrubber and a recycled elephant dung journal for the first 5 people to register. So